I was very fortunate in 2017. I went to visit Ryerson in Toronto with the Minister of Higher Education at the time, Dr. Bladen Zemande. And I was so impressed by how Ryerson University took the concept of zone learning as an experiential incubation space where they could really infuse entrepreneurship skills in their students and the mindset that goes with that. And I thought this is something that we could do at UWC, especially since there are certain graduate attributes that we would like to promote at UWC. It must have been about 4 years ago. We compiled a proposal for the DHET, that's Department of Higher Education and Training, under their program which they call the Hdi Grant, or Historically Disadvantaged Institutions Grant. This one in relation to zone learning. We argued that if we have zone learning at UWC, so an entrepreneurship incubation space, we would then be able to link it to our graduate attributes, but we would also be able to link it to what is really UWC, which is our community engagement and how we connect with our communities. And thirdly, we would then enable our students to become more employable. But we're also linking it to the two other parts of the zone. The one would be the Entrepreneurial Law Clinic. In the Entrepreneurial Law Clinic, what we will do would be to link it to the curriculum already existing in our big law clinic, so that those students would have a different site of practice. So when they do legal process, they will be doing it in the zone, so that they can have the experience of identifying the kind of business enterprises that might be appropriate to the specific person and taking them through the whole process of how you incorporate and the kind of legal advice that you would need to give to your client. The last part is a small business clinic, which in this one we then team up with Economic and Management Sciences faculty, and they will then provide the support, the real business financial support that the person would need. So a community member would be able to come to UWC and our students would be exposed to that kind of learning environment. So not only are we doing the community engagement, making a difference in our communities, which is really embedded in the DNA of UWC, but we are also giving our students a totally different learning experience.
We have launched the Small Business Clinic in the faculty, and the Small Business Clinic is really a culmination of a thought process that emerged when I assumed the office of Dean in 2018. And I then embarked in extensive engagement and conversation with colleagues in the faculty, in particular the School of Business and Finance. And we then agreed that a clinic of this nature is something that is quite relevant and quite appropriate within the context of how we prepare our students for the changing world of work. The idea of the Small Business Clinic is really to get them involved in activities that support the small business owner. And so we have designed the clinic and thought about the clinic as an experiential learning space where we will bring different stakeholders together, small business owners, agencies that support small businesses, academics, as well as members from corporate as well as government, into a space that where all the focus will be on supporting, or the primary focus will be on supporting the small business owner.
At the moment, some of our students are doing a virtual, with some venture, a virtual simulation course where they're actually being taken through all the principles around entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial skills, but in an online environment. So it provides us with space to be creative and to experiment, but still to embed very good graduate attributes in our students.
So in the Zone Learning project, I'm responsible for a module that has been developed, the Management Fundamentals of Entrepreneurship, and also integrating a business simulator called SimVenture, so that the business simulator is underpinned theoretically, and there's a good foundation to assist the student And the experiential learning comes from the practice within a simulator. Because as we know, pilots need simulation training to prepare them for any eventuality. SimVenture does this for entrepreneurs. It prepares them for any economic eventuality. And the best part is that there's no cost, there's no monetary loss on their side. And yet they gain the experience through this experiential learning project.
So here was an opportunity, for example, in zone learning, through zone learning, to have an entrepreneurial law clinic where you can expose the students to more than doing divorces and assisting in the kinds of matters that they're currently dealing with, but making sure that we have a curricular linkage. So it's not an open thing where all students just come. It will be linked to existing curriculum, and where we need to amend curricula, that we will also do.
So I've been appointed to basically set up and head an entrepreneurial law clinic, which is part of the Zone Learning project. On the one hand, we'll basically be doing things with the law students that will prep them as entrepreneurs. They'll then gain entrepreneurial thinking. Because one thing I've noticed working with law students is that they are, a lot of them have business ideas and they've been too scared to implement those business ideas or to even know what to do next. So I think working with us in Zone Learning will train them and equip them to do that. But also the second purpose of it is that they will basically become, proper lawyers. They'll learn practical experience. They'll get to work one-on-one with real life clients, which is not all students get that opportunity. So they'll be doing SimVenture with Dr. Marlon Hoffman, which is basically going to train them and show them what it takes to be an entrepreneur. They'll know, what do I need to set up my business? How do I set up my business? What is entrepreneurial thinking? These law students are afraid to step out of their comfort zone and to start a business because they don't have the business training that maybe your EMS students get. So for them, their mind is fixed on, I'm going to go and work at a law firm, I'm going to do this. But once they step into Zone Learning, that's going to be broadened. And that means they'll realize, I can actually start my business, I can be innovative, I can be an entrepreneur, and that's going to prepare them for that.
For our pilot project, it was interesting that we've selected the students from the 10 students from the law faculty. We've also selected students from the EMS faculty. The conditions for it were that in the EMS faculty, they were honors students. In the law faculty, they were sort of going into their final year. And they had to submit a business idea. They had to have some inclination of a business that they were going to do, or that they were thinking of. So we sort of tapped into the entrepreneurial spirit by looking at these various ideas. And then they were chosen on the basis of interaction with them. Firstly, having discussions with them, and then asking them for a motivation letter and a business idea on a 2-pager.
So the ELC will basically just be an extension of the law clinic, and that is where we'll be training law students to basically be entrepreneurs, but to also do practical work so that they can be ready and prepared for the world of work.
My name is Octavia Adams, and I'm in my 3rd year of studies in the law faculty. I would like to start my own business sometime in the future, and I think this would be a very good way to experience what entrepreneurship is like, what I can expect, and maybe influence and make my dream a reality. I want to have a curly hair product range. I want it to be inclusive. I want it to be for every hair type, but I also want different collections. So there are 4 different types of hair. There's type 2, 3, and 4. And with type 4 hair, there is a more curly, kinky hair, and then there's more relaxed but still curly and kinky. And I want to cater for all of these different demographics and make it so that it is a South African product with South African ingredients and South African resources, by creating job opportunities as well as showcasing what South Africa has in terms of product range.
If they come up with a brilliant business idea as being in Zone Learning, they'll get residency in the Zone Learning, which basically means that their business could potentially be funded and they will have an up and running business, which they never, coming into this program, they probably never even thought they would have. But also, the one thing they'll get is to realize that maybe the business idea that they stepped into this project with is not the business idea they leave with.
My name is Ricardo Poulsen, and I'm studying at UWC towards my BCom Honours Management program. Me, myself, as an entrepreneur and assisting all other entrepreneurs. Based on my experience, I started a small accounting and tax practitioner business. I offer also consulting to my clients when they need help and guide them through the process, because what I picked up is that most of the small businesses doesn't have the expertise or doesn't have the know-how how to do it within the environment. So when I came on board, I was able to successfully help all those small entrepreneurs getting themselves compliant, making sure that everything is filed on time, and guide in terms of labor relation issues when they require the services.
The entrepreneurial spirit is within everybody. It's how much you allow that spirit to come out. And you'll find this, that lots of people talk about they don't have creativity. However, you know what, I believe that creativity, it's not just an art form of creativity. It can be an activity, it could be an art form in terms of thinking and great ideas, conceptualization. And that has got to do with the entrepreneurial spirit, where we're always looking for that gap. We're always looking for that opportunity. And that spirit drives us to sort of cater for the need in that opportunity. And that's what entrepreneurship is about. And that's the spirit we want to develop, the awareness. And not just awareness, but the ability to have the skills to tackle that idea that they have and make it a reality.
If people are interested in the project, our project manager is Dr. Jacob Klutter. They could contact him and to see to what extent they would be able to either assist. People can also assist us by pointing us maybe in the right direction in terms of more grant funding. And I think also even our council members or any of our alumni, our foundation, if they are able to help us fundraise for this project so that we can actually expand it to more than the current, there would be limited number of students that initially we'd be able to take into the zone. But if we raise funds for this and we make sure that our grant proposals are successful, we might be able to expand this quite fully across all 7 faculties, and that would be my dream for the zone.